Giorno Giovanna, also known as JoJo. He's a 15-year-old criminally cool Italian gang star that wants to reform the Mafia so it doesn't sell drugs to kids. They'll just sell drugs to everyone else and murder people. With the power of stands! Giorno's was inspired by his vampiric father Dio and has the ability to manipulate life, which has some really weird interpretations at times, but tends to stay happy with just spawning creatures and plants in and out of existence or healing people. While Giorno is talked up as a charismatic leader, he effectively acts more as a support in the group, tending to everyone's wounds and focusing more on giving utility in a fight rather than raw damage output. He's not particularly more or less fighty than anyone else. Okay, you can say that about any character in JoJo after part 3, but Giorno does it through life manipulation, okay? So, with that in mind, what's our best Giorno build in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? Druid. It's Druid. This one isn't even that hard. Specifically, though, we want the Circle of the Shepherd Druid from the Unearthed Arcana. While you naturally gain the ability to summon animals and plants through Druid spells, this archetype gives an extra support summon through Spirit Bond, which gives a variety of bonuses to allies that are near the spirit, or you can call it a stand, and the ability of Beast Speech, so you can actually communicate with and order your creatures around properly. Faithful Summons and Mighty Summoner boost your spells to create strong creatures and more of them, and Guardian Spirit literally stops you from dying. So have fun explaining how your character survives being decapitated in the most convoluted and fabulous way possible. The standalone Druid class just gives you access to Druidic as a language, a nature magic spell list, and the ability to Wild Shape, pseudo-immortality later on, and that's about it. The only oddball here is to explain why our JoJo can become, like, a bear. I guess you can explain this away as perhaps Giorno enhancing his own traits to be more animalistic, or summoning the arm of a lion through his fur clothing, or maybe the wild shape is your stand and you're just swapping out for gold experience. Or, I don't know, just don't wild shape. Whatever floats your boat, it's not even that big of a deal. What is a big deal are the magic spells you're going to be using. I don't usually like to plan too far ahead with the build, but given there are so many spells in the game, I felt it would be better to save you the legwork and just say what it is you'll exactly need at every spell level, not character level. Those are two completely separate things. Cantrips! For these we'll be taking Druidcraft, Shillelagh, Guidance, and Resistance. The first two are for random life creation shenanigans and to literally beat people with a tree. Guidance and Resistance are buffs that you give yourself and others to enhance life, as Giorno likes to put it. Level 1. Cure Wounds, Entangle, Goodberry, Jump, and Longstride are the choices here. Again, healing, creating life, and enhancing one's natural abilities. Level 2. We take Enhance Ability, Lesser Restoration, and Spike Growth. Level 3, this is where it starts getting good. Conjure Animals, Plant Growth, and Protection from Energy. Once you start getting your level 3s is when the build really kicks off, but it kinda sucks since you do need to wait until your 5th class level to really get into gear though. Level 4. Conjure Woodland Beings, Hallucinatory Terrain, and Giant Insect. This level needs a bit of explanation. So, Woodland Being spawns fey creatures, not natural ones, but let's be honest, half the stuff that Giorno summons tends to not qualify as a real animal anyway. It is also for this reason that Sylvan is a mandatory language to build to have so you can actually communicate with these alien creatures. Hallucinatory Terrain is to emphasize Giorno's potential as a debuffer to give someone too much life and screw with their perception of reality. Level 5. Tree Stride, Mass Cure Wounds, and Contagion. More plants, more heals, more debuffs. Level 6. Conjure Fey, Wall of Thorns, and Heal. You can only pick up 2 of these spells though at this level, so choose your preferred spells from these 3. All of them work for the concept of the build, and if anything, maybe you can chat with your DM into giving you a wand that has the 3rd spell you're missing or something. Level 7. Regenerate and Plane Shift. Okay, Plane Shift is weird as hell to have here, but it can represent the Turtle Room, or Gold Experience Requiem, where Giorno just literally starts reality bending like a literal god. Go ahead and blow that level 7 spell and send your enemies to actual eternal hell. It's magic. You don't gotta explain it. Level 8. Antipathy/Sympathy, or Feeble Mind. You only get to pick one. The first represents perhaps hormone control or that classic JoJo charm, and Feeble Mind is just Mind Crush. Level 9, Shape Change is really the only one that I felt is in line with the rest of the moveset here. Turn yourself into a super crazy nature monster. Maybe not the most direct take to his powers like Wild Shape, but it definitely makes way more sense thematically than, say, Earthquake or making hurricanes. That's not what the stand does. I don't even care if you want to argue it as being Requiem. Now, onto another tricky topic. Feats. Most JoJo characters tend to be great at, well, everything. I don't think there's that many feats you could look at and say Giorno wouldn't have it as an ability or skill with how everyone is apparently a Jeopardy prodigy. So, I'm going over what I personally feel are 2 mandatory feats, 3 ideal ones for Giorno specifically, and a slew of other appropriate feats. You have free reign here to pick and choose what you like best, though. This is not a die-hard list by any means. Mandatory. War Caster and Animal Handler. The first one is to just make sure your spells fire off reliably. No one likes whiffing a spell that you're supposed to be friggin' good at. Animal Handler lets you command your summons, or really any creature, easily as a bonus action, and ends up doubling the skill bonus we would have to that anyway. Both of these feats are for the consistency of the character. You shouldn't be failing on the core aspect of your build unless you nat 1, which is all the time anyway. Great feats: Observant, Empathic, and Quick-Fingered. All these allow you to get more mileage out of Sleight of Hand, because Giorno's still a criminal after all, Perception, since most of the anime is about being aware of your environment and using it, and finally Empathic, which is messing with people's heads and representing a bit of the charisma that Giorno is supposed to have. All of these feats will double the bonus for those skills and give you a bit of an extra boost. The order that you get them in really doesn't matter all that much. Other good feats, these would be things like Historian, Skilled, Silver Tongue, Diplomat, Luck, everything that gives a variety of other random bonuses, buff your skills, and generally increase the versatility of the character. Again, JoJo's are just randomly great at everything when they need to be. It just comes with the territory. Alright, now we're nearing the end. Race and background. I think the best one for both flavor and mechanics is the half-elf, because elves are... yeah. But also to represent that Giorno is a bit of a half-breed compared to every other protagonist in the series. He is literally the son of evil, someone who is well outside beyond the normal family line. For this, Giorno does get a few bonuses to his stats: Dark Vision, Fey Ancestry, Resistance to Charm, and Forced Sleep, 2 skills which we'll use for Perception and Animal Handling, and have I mentioned that half-elf is kind of unbalanced? For a background, Charlatan in the core rulebook. And no, not Criminal here, and let me explain why. Charlatan gives us Sleight of Hand, which Criminal does not, and a set of fine clothes, which are obviously the most important part of this background. But most interestingly is a con of your choice, because that's the thing. At the start of the journey, at the start of the anime, Giorno is not a hitman, he does not rob banks. He's just a petty thief who does stupid con gigs on the side of the road to get some cash to get by on. Giorno doesn't get hardcore until later in the series, as Buccarati brings him into the world of the Mafia. The false identity ability and forgery and disguise kits reinforce this idea of someone who actually hasn't been to jail yet, primarily because they are an expert of staying out of it. If there is anything I would change about the background, it would maybe to swap out the false identity ability for Criminal's Contact. If anything, just to wedge in the whole Mafia-esque criminal and underworld tone for the story. Gear! Honestly, the character build doesn't really need gear. You'll spend most of your early levels beating people with a stick since it's your best weapon compared to others at that point, and at least while you're not healing or supporting with magic. Once you gain your summon abilities, all of your time really will just be spent being a skill monkey and managing all of your punch ghosts, like an actual JoJo character. If you do ever run out of magic or put into a tough situation, thematically it would be appropriate to use a dagger or bow and, arrows to fight with all of that. For armor, just light leather will do. Druids don't show a lot of love for metal anyway. Even for support items, you probably just want to hoard as many skill kits as you possibly can get away with, otherwise it just doesn't matter. Lastly, your stat line. Assuming a standard point by array again before racial bonuses, you'll be looking at 8 strength, 15 dex and wisdom, 12 charisma, 11 in constitution, and 10 intelligence. After bonuses, these pump to 16 in dex and wisdom and 14 in charisma. Dex and Wisdom are king here again because they scale off the skills we want to be proficient in. Wisdom gives us bonuses to casting, and Dex improves our AC since we're at a loss on armor anyway. Charisma is just for the flavor, and the 8 Strength is because we really aren't supposed to sit here and throw punches anyway. Our stands do the aura-ing, not us. These hands are too beautiful for punching, let's be real here. And lastly, for skills, I'm going to say you're going to definitely want Animal Handling again, Knowledge Nature, Survival, things that'll boil into the character so that your character should know what to do at a given point in time. There are examples in the skill sheets linked later. And with that, you are now ready to bring a life of fabulous crime to all of your D&D sessions. I feel like I should really emphasize though that this is not a combat build and it requires a lot of meta knowledge about the game. You need to make summons and spells for a variety of situations and will need to know a lot of creatures to make this work properly, having them synergize off of each other to solve very specific problems. It's a complicated way to play since you can't rely on the character sheet itself to tell you what your options are and what to do. Although it is one of my favorite ways to play, because when it does work, you feel like a friggin' genius. You're going to want to have the monster rulebook so you know what your summon options are. Character sheets can be found in the description below. Keep calm and dance on.
Did you play? Did you die? Would you take this character for a ride? Like, comment, and subscribe for more. If you want to, smack a bell, because I do know you well, and patronize if you'd like to decide. Have a good one.